let's keep on course here and get to the second story, which we have on the Seattle Times hitting 81,000 digital subscribers. Now, one of the most subscribed to news websites in the country. And this is from Press Gazette. The Seattle Times increased their subscriptions 10% in the last year, 2021. But since 2019, they doubled their subscribers. So basically, they saw growth before COVID, but they've been able to keep that going in 2021. That was kind of the story of 2021. I felt like you hear all these year-end stories. A lot of the news organizations and industry publications were saying all subscriptions are down this year. It's okay. Everyone's experiencing the same thing. In this case, maybe they didn't have the same growth as 2021, but they're still on an upward trajectory. And let's see, I think it was the CEO who led this initiative, had a really interesting quote here. And basically, her approach was the growth strategy was focusing on maximizing revenue over subscriber numbers. And the revenue is a target that's based on what it's going to take to operate the newsroom. So let's take a look at this quote. She said, "I think this is one of the follies of the industry, this volume chase," because the interview was asking about maximizing subscribers. Strategically, we've looked at this in a very different way, where we talk about sustainability of the size of the newsroom and the dollars that we need to support our long-term strategy. They look at it from a revenue standpoint versus we are chasing this basically arbitrary volume number, because there are all kinds of terrible things you can do to your long-term viability and sustainability to get to that volume number. This is one specific thing that I can see as a problem. She says that deep discounting, they had to ask themselves, is this strategically the right move in order to grow subscribers, engagement, retain them, and flip them to the high price point? That's the key. You could have a steep discount and have a ton of people sign up for the intro deal, but if they all cancel because it's too much of a disconnect between the intro pricing and the full pricing, then you're going to just see high attrition and you're going to be spending a lot of time chasing those people. Now, that's kind of the opposite to what we've also seen other publications having success with, getting their foot in the door, casting a wide net, having the first month completely free. That's obviously as low as you can go, and just get people to sign up, get their email, get them into the system as someone that's interested. That's kind of the other way of looking at this. And the take-home lesson here is that you have to look at each publication specifically. You can't just take this model and replicate it everywhere. This model works here for a number of reasons. I think, Tyler, you were mentioning how they see a huge advantage of just covering Seattle.
They were extremely focused on one market, which I think if you are the source for that market, it's a lot easier for you to say, we are the authority on what's happening here.
Right.
Thus, we can charge this much.
To get to that point, $4.99 per week is one of the highest prices in the country for a Metro newspaper. It's up there with the Boston Globe, which we commented on a few weeks ago as having the highest price that we had ever seen. I think part of it is that they're coming in with this discount offer just for the first 4 weeks, and then it goes up to $4.99. It's not like they're giving the first 6 months for $1 and then goes from like the lowest price in the country to the highest. It's not as big of a jump. There's a couple things to consider here, but for the local newspaper, it's a smaller difference. If you come in with $1 for the first month and then it renews at $4.99 per month, that's not as much of a leap. So I just don't see you getting as much attrition. It's good news for the industry that someone is getting there by just being the only ones covering certain content in Seattle. If you want to get that information, you got to pay this premium price. So it works for them. And it should work for the local newspaper too, because they're the only ones covering a lot of this stuff. It's interesting that they're focusing on the bottom line revenue. It's not something that a lot of publishers are focused on. They seem to really just focus on subscriber numbers. I think you got to look at both. You can't look at one entirely and ignore the other, but it's just a question of which one do you want to make the actual goal.
Well, Matt, I also noticed this was actually just above the quote that you were reading, is that they are privately owned, which might have something to do with the way that they have freedom, a bit more freedom of choice in how they want to manage their subscription model.
Yeah, I mean, Shane's, these newspapers owned by venture capital and everything, they're going to be setting the prices. They're going to be disconnected from the community and understanding what kind of price is going to be sustainable there. Nice story from Seattle. Now, to keep on track, let's move to the last one. Thanks for watching Today in News Tech, the podcast on innovation in digital journalism. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and subscribe on YouTube or any of your favorite podcast apps. We'll see you tomorrow.
At our hometown, we help newspapers build WordPress websites, design native apps, and develop digital subscription models. If you are interested in a free prototype of your publication on WordPress, go to ourhometown.com and click the Contact Us button.